Hello, I'm Jennie Rayment and I'm bringing you the Easy Quilting Petal shape today. This is a super little template because if you cut out 8 of these, they can be used to make a wonderful scalloped flower. If we look at the quilt behind me, you can see that I've used the scallop in the centre. And indeed, I use the circle cut template to make the little Suffolk puff or yo-yo I've got in the very middle there. These pieces come from the petal shape template. Now you could choose to have 8 of them in the same colour. You could choose to have 4 in one colour, 4 in another. You could put it as an applique in the centre of your quilt. You could make it into a table mat. You could make it into perhaps the centre of a small round circular mat to go on a little table. You could put it onto a cushion. And because the template itself is made of a clear see-through perspex, you can actually fussy cut. So you can place it on the material and cut out exactly the piece of fabric you get. So you can see I've got the same flower in the same place all the way round. So it's a really useful template, and it can be done for using different sizes. If you're going to use it with different sizes, then you simply use the markings along the top here. You will cut a smaller strip and use this to cut it a little bit shallower. Let me show you how to cut round the entire template. If you take a strip of fabric that is just a little bit wider than the entire length of the template, you can cut your fabric with it folded double, or you can cut it just singly. The choice is yours. Let me cut this singly. Open the fabric out, place the petal shaped template on the top. Now, if you find it slides, we've got just the thing for you. These clear fabric grabbers. They are absolutely excellent for stopping the template from sliding. Simply place one of them, or maybe 2 of them, on the back of the template, and they will stop the whole thing from slipping when you're cutting it. Once you put the clear fabric grabbers on the back, place your template on the fabric. If you turn it slightly round sideways, you can, with the regular rotary cutter, cut round the arc along the side here. Pop scraps of fabric in your scrap bag, turn the fabric completely round again, and then cut up the remaining size. Those fabric grabbers will stop the template from shifting. And there we have a petal pattern shape. To do the complete design, you will need 8 of them. Now, if you were going to cut out smaller shapes, allow me to show you how you can use the template to cut out smaller ones. Simply cut a shorter strip of material. So using the Easy Quilting ruler, I'm going to cut, I have a 5-inch strip of fabric. I'll make one a little bit smaller. Having cut my strip of fabric, place the template onto the piece of material. You'll see it's got nice lines on it which help you keep it lined up. Let's get it all lined up there with the 5-inch line on the top there. Cut up one side of the template, turn the fabric round, so you cut the other side of the template, and then you will see how the little markings on the top will make it so that you can use the template to cut smaller petals. Simply shift it down until the relevant mark is on the top of the shape. So go down, go down, go down, go down, and there we are. Brought it right down. Now I can cut the arc off and round it off like that. Make sure that the same measurement is here as is over that side. It's just round about the 4 there, and that will give me a smaller petal. So don't feel you have to have the petal pattern shape exactly the same size. You can have a multitude of sizes, and they'll all come out with a nice arced edge. If you cut 8 of them though, let me show you how easy they are to sew together. So here I have 8. I chose to have 4 in one colour and 4 in another, but of course the combination of colours is entirely and utterly up to you. And I will arrange these so the colours alternate. So I'll have a dark pink one and a lighter pink one and a dark pink one and a lighter pink one all the way round, making the entire design. So if I lie it out, you can see how effective it's going to look. And there we go. 8 of them form the complete flower. Let's pop that one in there. When it comes to sewing it together, I would suggest that you sewed it together like this. Sew them together into 4 sets of 2. To sew them together, simply take 2 of the pieces, put them right sides together. Now it will pay you to, when you do the design, to stitch all of the pieces with the same section on top. I've already started doing it. So on this particular panel, I have sewn 2 together with this colour on the top. And you want to repeat this 3 more times. When you sew them together, open them out. Now that back seam can be very lightly pressed, and this is where the Easy Quilting seam press is absolutely ideal, because that will just gently get up inside and press those seams without stretching the fabric. So sew 2 together to make a pair. When you've sewn the 2 together to make a pair, take 2 sets and put them right sides together. Now, because the templates are wonderfully accurate, you will be able to put these pieces together, line up your seams, and I would sew the design from the center out. So joining 2 of the sections together to make 1/2 of the piece, as I have done here. And when you've finished, press your seam open and flat. Repeat with the other 2 pieces so you end up with the 2 halves. Now, if you notice, in the very center here, you can see where the seams cross over and touch. They end in a point. That little point there is the point that you want to try and get your points together when you line it up. And because of the way that the template works, you will have accuracy at that junction. So I will put both halves together and sew straight along there. Hopefully, when you open it out, it's going to look something like this, and you'll be wonderfully accurate in the middle. But rest assured, a button or a Suffolk puff or yo-yo looks brilliant in the middle there. This block is now ready to be placed onto another square or used as perhaps a cushion or a quilt block. All you would have to do is to apply it and turn the raw edge under. I'm going to show you a little trick. The little trick involves using a piece of thin fabric. I've got an interfacing. If you place the interfacing on the top and you pin the 2 pieces together using these lovely flower head pins that we have on Easy Quilting, and the reason why the flower head pins are so absolutely superb is when you put a ruler on top for any measuring, of course the ruler doesn't cockle. So you can pin it together with a flower head pin in each of the sections. Then all you simply do is sew round the outside edge on your sewing machine or indeed by hand. As you sew round the outside edge, you'll join the 2 pieces of fabric together. You then trim all of the interfacing right back to the very edge of the petal. I would put a small snick at the junctions here where they go into the bottom of the valley, and then make a hole in the interfacing and simply turn it right side out. When you've turned it right side out, you will find using the bamboo seam presser remarkably good for just helping to go inside there and flattening it out. Once you have flattened the entire thing out, it can then be placed onto a background fabric and stitched in place. And if I turn it over, you can see how the interfacing gives it such a wonderful edge. Lay it onto its background fabric, which could be a square, it could be a circle, it could be any shape you like, and you could hand stitch or machine stitch all the way around the edge. And consider, if you were going to make it into a cushion, just simply place it onto a panel and then slip stitch round the edge either by hand or go round the machine with the machine using something like the blind hem stitch or an applique stitch or indeed a decorative stitch. Pop it onto some wadding and maybe put a few lines of stitching round the outside edge. The background of this cushion was made using the Easy template, the Easy Angle 10.5 template, where I made large triangles, stitched them together, just to give myself a more interesting background. So there you are, a wonderfully potential template, the petal shape.